What's up, everyone? Welcome to Tam Psych Advice. Today we're going to spend time talking about the ENFJ and how deep they are and what's their big dilemma. Have you ever been in a situation or a place and you're there for one thing, but then you end up doing another? You have a job to do, but that's not really your purpose. It's just a disguise. It's just a mask for something else. That can happen to an ENFJ, where on the surface, it looks like you're there to do a job. But the truth is, you're there to empower, to help, to elevate, to bring someone to new realizations. You're functioning in parallel lines. Their instinct is to uncover, to make connections, what's hidden. What makes an ENFJ so deep? It's the fact that you don't know how deep they are. It's like they always have this little secret in their back pocket, ready to activate at any moment. And instead of looking at the ENFJ smile, look into their eyes. You can see into their soul, but they're probably looking into yours. You think they're playing with the deck of cards that you see, but they really have another game at play. So they're not going to always show you their hand. They don't even know how to explain the hand that they're playing with. They're just playing it. Like, you hear them speaking, but there's an entirely different world going on. That's why it can be a little tricky. What triggers it is manipulation. That activates that second hand. And that's one type of dilemma, is I see everything, but is it wise for me to just blatantly tell you and that I know what you're doing? Or do I let you just play it out so that you keep giving me more information? Now, I don't trust you. Why should I make you privy to information? I think I'll keep that to myself. The ENFJ is making moves that you don't understand, or that you can't figure out, or that throw you off, or maybe some of the things that you used to do, tactics, aren't working anymore. People who manipulate others attack their mental and emotional sides to get what they want. The person manipulating seeks to create an imbalance of power and take advantage of a victim to get power, control, benefits, or privileges at the expense of the victim. ENFJ mind is perplexed that someone is actually spending their waking hours plotting and planning and manipulating in this way. It can be absolutely maddening and draining to an ENFJ, because imagine you have this information and you can't tell them, or people think that they're getting away with things, and I don't know why. No matter how sophisticated your system is, the ENFJ is going to crack the code. So if you're playing these little mind games, they start putting all kinds of intricate things together, and their mind just gets activated like they're playing this chessboard. There have been so many times when I have known that somebody was having an affair. ENFJ does not want to be taken advantage of, or taken for granted, or taken for stupid. Sometimes they show, not tell. Some things that kind of look one way are really created for another, and an ENFJ will understand that and switch strategies. Some people give the ENFJ a lot of material to work with, and other people give the ENFJ nothing. And that's the internal dilemma of an ENFJ. It's like, I want to tell you everything, but if I tell you everything, wouldn't be the most ethical thing to do. And they're also going to play out, what if I tell you everything? How is that going to work? Is it going to make the situation worse, manipulate more? So they have to play all these things out. And because they can understand the person's deepest struggles, it could be intrusive. If you're not wrestling with dilemmas, then you're probably not an ENFJ, because that's something that happens in their life quite a bit. but for an ENFJ, it's a real thing. It is a turbulent kind of thing. Dilemma is a situation in which a difficult choice has to be made. ENFJs can hate it when they bump into one of their big dilemmas because it's a difficult choice, a catch-22, a vicious circle. Choose between things that are all bad or unsatisfactory. That's what a dilemma is. And ENFJs hate dilemmas, but they find themselves in more dilemmas than maybe most people do. Wrestling with possibilities that are difficult to make sense of. Much of it is due to the involvement of another person. How will it affect the other person, not just me? ENFJs often get stuck on the other. What will they do if I make this decision? How will what I say or do change their circumstance? There's something I strongly do not want to do, but how do I find the words to explain it? I know what I want to say in my head, but when I try to explain it to the person, suddenly the words don't sound so good and everything gets jumbled and doesn't make sense. Conflict intensifies the situation. ENFJs really don't like conflict. Being straightforward goes out the window, and sometimes the ENFJ will choose to suffer rather than ignite unwanted emotions in the other person that they can't take back once said. They don't want to risk altering a relationship, damaging it for the sake of internal peace. So they sacrifice that internal peace because the consequences of changing what is currently icy could be just as anxiety-provoking if they create a new and possibly better situation. Turmoil. That's what it feels like when ENFJs have a dilemma. Maybe a censor could simplify it, but the judger housed inside the ENFJ is a brewing storm, and it needs quiet and to know that things are settled and done, but it's triggered now and it won't be quiet. It amplifies the problem by 10, and the ENFJ can no longer think straight. And then the intuition brings in all the possibilities and angles and ideas for what could and couldn't work, and what could be a simple problem has become a mountain to climb, an erupting volcano. Man has not figured out how to squelch a volcano bursting with flames, and so becomes the mind of an ENFJ with a big dilemma that might not be so big at all. It is the other human involved that's fanning the flames, and all the ENFJ wants to be left with at best is an ember. Getting there feels nearly impossible. They want to be self-centered so that the problem, the thing that they hate doing, can go away, but the other person loves it. So what is the unselfish ENFJ to do? There is a big price to pay when the other is more important than the self. Pity, confusion, mistrust, doubt, ambivalence. Running away is not an option, or is it? Some dilemmas can feel so big to an ENFJ that they may entertain it as the only plausible solution. It's important for an ENFJ to know how to assess people. And sometimes when ENFJ gets into that mode where their subconscious mind is swirling around, pulling up information, sometimes the ENFJ can start taking punches. So they may not be direct and say, you're getting on my nerves, but they might point out something to you to start letting you know, I'm on to you, I see what you're doing, and it might not be so nice, and it can be kind of shock value type of treatment towards someone. I'll give you a dilemma that I'm going through right now. There are two ladies that are around each other all the time. One of them gave me a gift, and the other one gives me gifts all the time. I like both ladies. I do feel a little closer to one than I do the other, and I really want to give them both a gift just for fun, but they don't really like each other, and one has verbalized to me that she doesn't like the other one, And so if I give one a gift, the other one might feel bad. But then if I give them both gifts, then one of them is probably going to not like that very much. So what do? I know that sounds so silly to some people, but that's kind of well, I'm an ENFJ, and so that for me is a dilemma. ENFJs can also be triggered into deep thought when they know someone is in trouble, when they know someone's life is twisting and turning. They can help that person to piece things together that they're not aware of. But then the dilemma is, do you step in and help someone with their twists and turns? The ENFJ will definitely question, is this person willing to change? Oftentimes people have to change because they want to, not because you're presenting them with information. However, I've definitely experienced people making major changes over time when I've had the opportunity to share with them what my unconscious or my hidden little secret mind is telling me about someone that they're involved with, and helping them to make some interpretations. Sometimes the big dilemma is they're trying to please too many people all at the same time, and it's just overwhelming. When an ENFJ goes into this deep space, it's like they've entered into another world, into another country. It's like they're somewhere else, and this somewhere else could last for a few minutes, a few hours, a few days, for weeks, months, a year. They can go into this deep hidden place and they're uncovering, figuring out things. It's like they're in a haze. Their minds are so busy piecing things together and figuring things out that they can kind of disappear from themselves. And when they come out of it, they can start to question everything that they just figured out and decided upon. You were just stuck in this unhappy situation or place mentally. And so when you come out of it, yeah, things look different. It's like the flowers that you thought were yellow are really white. It's a weird transition because you kind of need to come out of that murkiness in order to see the light. Like, now that I'm seeing the light, is everything colored differently or is it the same? Was what I spent my time on really worth it? Is there not really a problem that was so intense that I shut part of my world out for a while? Maybe if I reframed things, I would have handled it differently than I am now. And like I said, it could be because they're refueled, they're recharged, something happy has happened, or people have been especially nice and it's filled them up in a way that they can fly above the radar instead of being below it for so long. They have to be careful on that. Sometimes that's kind of where the big dilemma comes in. It's like they can fall prey to their thoughts. Even if they come to the same conclusion, they could have handled the situation differently in a way where it wasn't so intense. Because when they get into one of those intense situations, it's like wearing 10 coats. It's very heavy. The last piece of advice that I could give is to be careful not to sink into that place when it comes to friendships or your husband or your wife, somebody that, or your mom or your dad or, people that you are incredibly close to. You have to give them some space to be human. You have to give them some space to have a bad day, to say the wrong thing sometimes, and be able to let it go instead of taking it and running with it and what do they mean by this? What do they mean by that? Let me analyze every little thing that they say and that they do. Sometimes just let them be. They snap at you, it's okay. I'm not talking about like abusive or anything like that. It's just we're all human and everybody says the wrong thing sometimes, or you say something and that's not what you meant. So give everybody grace, even some of the people that are absolutely driving you a little batty. If you want to see what I think about love from my perspective, or what I think about toxic people, then you'll want to check out my books, Flip the Script on Love by Tamara Zyon. And then I also wrote The Workplace Narcissist by Tamara Zyon. And they're both on Amazon right now. So check it out. You can get them in ebook or in the book formats. If you want me to do more ENFJ videos, be sure to like this one, share it with people that you think it could be helpful to, and also subscribe. And I love you, friends. Thanks for hanging out with me, and I'll see you on the next video. Bye.